Chapter 36. Shortly after the examination, 87 could feel Hobbs searching for him. Dipping into Mobius revealed pressing issues. Hobbs' informant, Nash, had found out about 87's link to the source code and flagged it up. With a groan, 87 caught the stack of paper that was about to fall off the shelf onto his examiner, who moved with dedication, reviewing every inch of him as Hobbs stormed from one training room to another, finally stopping to pull up 87's citizen passport and locating his tracker. 87 supposed reluctantly it was time for the two of them to finish up. Moments later, Hobbs wrenched open the stationery cupboard to find 87 with their young examiner, who scrambled to pull her skirt back into place. "Sir, it's—" she struggled, attempting to iron out appearances. "Finished," Hobbs barked, sending her hurrying off as he turned barely contained rage on 87. "What the hell do you think you're playing at Sample? Timetable has you in combat." "You said to work on my people skills," he explained with a grin. "This is not what I meant. Just using my initiative, sir." "Don't." Hobbs' eyes narrowed on him. "From now on, you follow every spoken and unspoken instruction to the letter. Do you hear?" 87 gave a firm nod as, to Hobbs' annoyance, a handsome smile only grew on the lad's face. "My office, now." But 87 made no effort to move. On the contrary, he stood very, very still. "There a problem, Sample?" He watched as 87 gestured robotically toward the door. "Ignoring initiative, sir. Following every spoken and unspoken instruction, sir." Hobbs eyed the lad as if he were perhaps broken. "We are standing in a stationary cupboard, sir." 87 elaborate with a wide grin. "Move!" Asterisk. Inside Hobbs's office, 87 watched him fall into a large Chesterfield. He knew the guy both hated and revered Samples. 87 more than most. Couldn't stand the inferior feeling they left him with. Most of all, 87 could see Hobbs's hate the fact he needed them. Felt his dependence grow daily. Since the day they were born, Hobbs had viewed them as tools to be used as required, to enhance and strengthen his position at Inter. Although 87 pushed the limits more often than not, he had also taken the time to study Hobbs and emulate parts of him. It made for a rather unusual dynamic between the two. Though he saw 87 as a threat, Hobbs also saw him as something of an extension to himself. He found him both highly vexing and venerating. "Any idea how hard it is to get good trainers at this level?" Hobbs barked, forcing himself back in his seat with a loud clunk, the position looking far less comfortable by the second. "Stop messing about with them." He struggled with the chair. "Damn it!" 87 smiled from his stance across the room. Hobbs, he had noticed, had a useful habit, employing young women between 20 to 30 years of age, smart, incredibly beautiful, and more importantly, far out of Hobbs' league. "I handle them with care, sir." Hobbs leant to wrench the lever beneath his seat, sending the backrest crashing forward, propelling him into the desk. "I need them impartial, indiscriminate." He glared at 87. "And I'm very happy to rub off on them, sir." "That's not what I meant." Hobbs snapped again, managing at last to recline the chair. "I've—" Top marks across the board. Hobbs cut him off, eager to get back to task as he reviewed 87's file. "Look, there's a job I need you on. I need you focused, able to pick up on smaller details others have missed. Think you can manage that?" "Well, it's not technically a job if you don't pay us," 87 volunteered. "Rest assured, you're worth every penny." Hobbs added with wicked amusement. "I've been unable to track down the source code." He rubbed his brow, thoughts flickering back to his recent discussion with the head of Harrow. "I've a feeling you're up to the task. We need that damn key, our source code." 87 felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. He knew Hobbs had been looking for it at the school. The man's desperation was now as palpable as his confidence that 87 could deliver it. Nash. 87 could see the little rat's discussion with Hobbs play out after his chat with Alex on the roof. He'd been careless, distracted. His thoughts moved back to Grace. Their source code was the one thing 87 knew of with the potential to free or destroy them. "Your future depends on it, son," threat-laced Hobbs' tone. "I'll be damned if I let it fall into the wrong hands. Morrigan can't know we're looking, or she may well destroy it." 87 could see this was a test of loyalty as much as it was born from Hobbs' desperation. He clearly suspected Morgan had hidden the source code at the school with one of the professors, but his trip turned up nothing. Morgan works for you, 87 mused, posturing a little. You could force her hand. We have ways. He offered half-heartedly, already knowing the stupidity of that. Or I could handle her. He finished with a suggestive smile. You don't have the right equipment. I've never had complaints. Breasts, you don't have them. No, 87 seemed to give the matter quite some thought. But I could get my hands on a pair, he drawled with a knowing smile. Morgan insists the source code was misplaced or destroyed by Inter during our seizure of samples. She catches wind that we're looking, that we don't believe her. It'll disappear for good. His eyes narrowed on 87. We can't have that happen. National security, your own security, depends on it. 87 wasn't about to let that happen. No one would lay a hand on Grace without his say-so. Why keep Morgan here if she's withholding vital information? He continued, muddling through the necessary diversions he could throw Hobbs's way. Protocol means you could have Morgan struck off, even imprisoned, unable to destroy it. That assumes she's working alone, that it isn't destroyed if she doesn't check in once in a while. I can't take that chance. Keep your enemies close, especially the smart ones. His eyes bore into 87. How do you suggest we proceed? There was little 87 hated more than downplaying his intellect. But if he learned anything through centuries of adventures in Mobius, it was the easy advantage given to those who undersold their intellect. Besides, their underestimation afforded him time for more pleasurable activities, something which, even though having slipped in priority of late, was something he didn't care to give up. Keep your eyes and ears open round Morgan. Feed back anything of note, and take a look through these. Hobbs handed over Morgan's files on an old data chip, the original he assumed. Throwing back a curt nod, 87 took his leave. Inside the West Wing at Inter HQ, seal-locked doors hissed behind 87 as he strode through his apartment. Sliding Hobbs' chip into a replicator before selecting an original file format, he watched as the intricate glass-housed machine used a combination of smart material and 3D printing to fabricate the files. It had become one of his favorite gadgets. Many had lost interest in tangible items and opted for a minimalist apartment here at Inter. That had its perks, but 87 much preferred the feel of organic material between his fingers, malleable and responsive to touch, as opposed to the ghostly holograms that haunted the spaces in which most of them lived. He'd furnished his with books, Parisian rugs, replicas of old African masks and Akkadian relics. It was a sleek, modern room with ornate furnishings, overlooking the waterfalls of the First. A golden cage, 87 mused, fully aware of what Hobbs and their keepers had achieved here at Inter. Years of litmus tests had proved samples' superhuman ability while instilling a sense of nostalgia toward hierarchy and role, to which they had become not only accustomed, but drawn to. Watching smart material cells in the replicator bleed together and coalesce, he pulled out the paper file it birthed. Striding to the couch, his thoughts drew to Grace. Things were surprisingly quiet in her room, though he could hear her imagination whirl away. It wasn't that he worried about others finding her. He'd solved that problem years ago and taken great pains to keep her hidden. He remembered it as though yesterday, Grace's gentle voice as direct as it was now.